Thank you very much. We were the at the battlefield, in the center of the battlefield. Uh, Arjuna had desired that his chariot be taken right to the center of the battlefield, from where he could see who are those who are fighting with him, or whom he'll have to kill now, or they'll have to kill him. And accordingly, Krishna took his chariot and placed it in the center of the battlefield and said, "Okay, here you are, part the center of the battlefield." At that point, Bhishma, who was the commander in chief of the other opposing army, he saw that Arjuna had moved there without any hostile intention. So he told his uh, all his generals not to start the war immediately and hold on to wait for a signal. So accordingly, Dronacharya and others who were there, they just held back. And at the center of this center, then after Arjun had surveyed both the sides, then he said, "Krishna, what is the purpose of this war?" He wanted to know why we have assembled here to fight with each other. And he says, "Is this not because of greed, obtaining a mere kingdom, that this war is being fought, where we destroy our own enemy, kingsmen? On either side, I can see my uncles, my grandfather, my cousins, and all others, my relatives and friends, all are very close to me on both sides. Now we are fighting each other. What for? Is this not greed? I do not want a king at this piece of land at this cost, because if we kill each other, what will I do with all this small little piece of land? In fact, if I were to get the three worlds, the kingdom, the three worlds, then too I would not like to fight with these people. After all, then Krishna, of course, told him, "What is this when these clouds of doom have gathered all around and everyone looks to you for leadership? You suddenly have turned important. How have you allowed such cowardly and despicable thoughts to enter your head?" Krishna wants to know what has happened to you. Suddenly, you're a good warrior. And now you come down to start questioning at this juncture, when the war is about to start. The conscience and everything has been blown. They're just only the final. This is it has to start any moment now. Suddenly, you're taken recourse to this kind of thoughts. So he says, "Keshava, how can I?" Keshava is for Krishna. How can I raise my hand against those people uh, who need to be worshipped? For example, Bhishma Pitama, or Dronacharya, who was his guru, or Kripacharya, who was again Kul Guru. They said people like these they are they have to be worshipped rather than killed or fought again. Now, if we do that, if we fight and kill them, then will we not be incurring sin? Will we not be destroying values? And once value is destroyed, then the entire society gets destroyed. And further, if life is worth living, then it is along with these people, with our relatives. Who are we living for? If we kill all of them, if you ask me to kill my wife, my son, my daughter, my brothers, my sister, then who am I living for? I'm living only for them. And it is the joy that you derive, that you share with them, that it makes life worthwhile. Or even our sorrow also. Even if you are sorrow, then we can at least share it and get over it. But if you have to kill all of them, then there's no point in living. Now, here this kind of thought, only a person who is really very uh, who has a mind, who has a very thinking mind, only he can do that. Bhim, if you recall earlier, that when Duryodhan was introducing the two armies to his guru Dronacharya, when he said the the Pandava army is headed by Bhim. Actually, it was headed by Drishtadyumna. But when he said that it is led by Bhim, what he meant was Bhim is a fellow who is going to fight. He is not going to think whether it's right or wrong, good or bad. He's just going to fight. Arjuna, on the other hand, is not want to fight needlessly. He will fight if necessary. He is a professional warrior and is a professional soldier. So if need be, he will do that. And then here, in that circumstances, he has no qualms about killing the soldiers who stand against him. But here it was not killing the soldiers who are against him. Here it was his own people, and he was very concerned that if he killed all of them, then what is the point in living? Now, this kind of conflict happens in case of every individual, and every individual में ये होता है that we have got tendencies, all kinds of tendencies within us, and those tendencies, especially tendency to take part in all the what we consider temporary joy, which we derive from our senses. So it says that if you all the joys, little joys, without going into detail, www, three W's, and fame and power, all these things we yearn for in our life. Or again, if these are not there, then what is the big idea of living itself, or what is being? So this is the question that was vexing his mind. Of course, he was mentioning only in terms of the people, his relatives. But then Krishna tells him, how has this despondency got hold of you at this critical junction? This, first of all, you must, at this junction, you should not try to think now. Look, I can at best share with you, but remember, while I'll advise you and tell you, only remember that you have to take your decision whether fight or don't fight. I'll give you all the reasons why you should fight. But if you choose not to fight and run away from here, then the decision will be yours, and you will be responsible because because I mean we are bound by our actions, by karma, and you have to reap the benefits or the what shall I say? You have to suffer the consequences of your karma. In this little place here, in these few words, Krishna is telling Arjun, he is telling him the law of karma. He says the karma is such that you will be faced with if you do a good job, if you do a good deed or a bad deed or whatever, then you have to bear the consequences. And the law of karma is actually implied here, and that's what he was telling Arjun. Now, but thereafter he continues. Krishna continues and tells him that look, Arjun, you are a kshatriya, and it is your dharma to fight, to kill, to destroy injustice, to destroy those evil, and protect the weak and the righteous. If you don't do that, you will be shirking from your responsibility and duty. And everybody looks up to you. You are the foremost of the warriors. If you run away from here now, people are going to uh, cast aspersions on your valor. They'll say this fellow was a coward. Will that not be worse than death? Secondly, people hold you in, you are the foremost of the warriors, and everybody, you are their idol. Everybody gets inspiration from you. If you run away from here, then what kind of inspiration will people derive? They will only tarnish your name, and they will, even after you're gone, you're, they'll think very poorly of you. They'll in fact malign you, and your name will be in dust. So it is just don't get into this debate here at this juncture. Just go out and fight. Now, of course, here he is telling him about the dharma of a kshatriya. Now, dharma is a word which we have to understand. In fact, the entire Gita is concerned only with dharma. And to understand dharma, you must know karma. ये दो वर्ड दो चीजें हैं. What is dharma and what is karma? These are the two things that are being discussed in Gita. In the entire Gita में सिर्फ यही है. That entire conversation is there. But what is the how what is the dharma? उसका impact क्या होता है? उसका definition क्या है? How does it translate into action? And what is the result of these things? How do the people who are very dharmic, how do they behave? How do they look like? These are the kind of questions that are there. And although it is between the discourse which takes place is very, very interesting, nevertheless, it is all concerning only just two things: what is dharma and what is karma. Now, dharma, there are aenge again, which will come later on. So, but so here, let me, because if you reiterate it over and over again, then we are likely to remember it. Now, in terms of its impact, dharma is said to be that which renders us, uh, one with nature, or that which does not disturb or cause any upheaval in nature. So this is the impact on dharma, where it is that which ensures that the balance is maintained in nature. Now, okay, this is what the impact is of dharma. But what is dharma? Dharma kya hai? Dharma is really the moral principle of righteousness. That is the definition. That should be the definition. What is righteousness? What is that? I'll come to that again. But moral principle of righteousness, which governs right from the microcosm to the macrocosm, which means it's applied right from the tiniest of the organism to the entire universe. This is what maintains the balance. Righteousness की वजह से ये होता है. And how does it translate into action? It translates into action dharma through in terms of non-violence or ahimsa. Ahimsa is really playing out dharma. When you that ahimsa is there in thought, word, and deed and feeling. Thought में नहीं होना चाहिए, word में नहीं होना चाहिए, feeling में नहीं होना चाहिए, and action में तो of course certainly नहीं होना चाहिए. When in all these things there is no violence at all, or that is ahimsa, then that action is dharmic action. This is an action that will not disturb the balance of the universe. This is an action that will not bring disharmony into the world. Recently, a few days ago, Sima Das Puru's wife, she has sent a picture of a little bird, a sparrow, the sparrow little one. It is true, it was perhaps on its first flight, and from its nest it landed upon and on her, and sat on her palm, and very happily it was there, very content, very quite confident that it will not be harmed. That is being one with nature. When you reach that stage, when others say you are not violent at all, there's no fear. When there's no violence, there won't be any fear. When there's complete ahimsa, that is time when you're linked with nature. When you're linked with nature, that's the time when birds and other creatures, all other animals, they're all very, very sensitive, and they will not distinguish from you a rock or a tree or any other, the back of a cow. They're all the same for one in dharma. So uske haath mein that when she was carrying that little bird there, that she had reached that state, she was in that state of mind. Of course, it is ideal to remain in the state of mind, in the state of being. But at least for that period, she was in a state of being where she was completely uh, in a state of ahimsa. So that was a very good example of what dharma can do. Of course, then this Arjuna, on the other hand, says, Krishna, I do not know what is better, victory or defeat. I'd much rather that these cousins of mine, they kill me unarmed. They want to kill me. Okay, let them kill me. I'll just throw down my weapons, and I will not fight, because I would not like to stain my. I would not like to have the blood of my relatives on my arms. It is better to be take a begging bowl and beg there rather than to eat food or rather enjoy the land after victory, which is stained by my relative. I would not rather do that. And with that, he just put down his Gandhi, his bow, and slumped into the rear of the chariot. Now, then he said that, Krishna, please tell me, I'm really very confused. You have to help me because I take refuge in you. Now, here, although in the Gita, in the several authors, they have mentioned that he has surrendered to Krishna. Actually, he has not surrendered. It is not even taking refuge. He has really come to him. Please help me. consider, although he says, please treat me as your disciple, as I've come to you. But there are three things here. When you take surrender, when you talk of surrender, what is surrender? Surrender का मतलब होता है कि when you two people are fighting, like India and Pakistan, we fought each other. Then the entire Pakistani army surrendered to us. Now, these days, to surrender, because of that, we are all governed by the UN Convention, the Geneva Convention. But otherwise, in the good old days, when a person surrendered, he became a slave. And then the master to whom he has surrendered, he decides what clothes you'll wear, how you live, how much you'll eat. He, in fact, tries to destroy your complete identity, which is what surreptitiously the British tried to do with us, by changing our education, by denying us our history, the rightful history. They're trying to change us so that it becomes easier to enslave us, and I think in several respects they have succeeded also. Anyway, so slave जो होता है surrender में, when you surrender to an opponent, you lose your identity. You take on the identity which the other fellow, your captor, he gives onto you. Of course, that's only an external identity. Internally, you will not change. In fact, you hate him, and at the first opportunity, you'll fight with him. Now, that is as far as uh, uh, surrender is concerned. Then there's taking refuge. Refuge means you are a refugee. You are going there seeking his protection. When you seek somebody's protection, then too, you are in fact kind of slavery. There, you want to change yourself of your own volition. You accept his dictate. He says, stay here, you stay there. You live like this, you live there. Now, this is all voluntary and of your own volition. So, taking refuge is also another this thing. But when you go, like Arjuna has gone there, he says, I've come to you. Please help me. I'm your consider me a disciple and help me tell me what is true. Then he has not really come to surrender. He's just come for an advice. So in this case, he's not really changing his identity. However, when you surrender to a guru, then that is different. Surrender to a guru is not really you're surrendering anything. You're not even, in fact, surrendering your vices and wickedness or all the bad traits you've got. Although that will happen eventually. Eventually, the guru will get you to surrender all your vices so that you become a perfect being. But initially, you don't do that. Eventually, you will. And in this kind of surrender to a guru, you lose your identity. It's not just losing your identity. You take on the identity of the master or the guru. You take on his identity, and in fact, de facto, the guru will help you to take on the identity of the infinite. So that is what surrender is. And then when Arjun tells, "I've come to you, please seeking refuge in you, please tell me what is good and what is not good for me." Then he says, Krishna tells Arjun that you talk as if you are very wise me, but however you are ignorant. And I shall clarify it now. Then he says, Arjun, get over your, sorry, excuse me. Arjun, get over your attachment to your body. Forget about uh, killing and getting killed. Nobody can kill. Nobody can kill. You are not the body, mind, soul, or what body and mind which you think of. You are really the Atma, the soul, which is indestructible, which never was born, which can never be killed. True, you have a body. The Atma has taken on a body, and that body will eventually fade off and die. But remember, once the body may die, but the Atma remains forever, and will take on a new body. So that continuity is there. But Arjun says, okay, I may concede that the body may die, but I'm not talking about the body may die or not. I'm I may even accept that the soul does not die, but I'm not talking about the soul. I'm talking about the man. Man is going to die certainly at the end of sometime if I kill him. Then Krishna tells him that look, a man of course may die because he's bound to die. So what it is inevitable. You have not, never come across a man who lives forever. So whatever is inevitable, why are you limiting for that? Why are you worried about that? Secondly, he says, before man was born, you had no identity, or you didn't know who he was or is. And after death, again, he'll be unknown to you. It is only in this intervening period that you have developed friendship with him. After that, again, he'll be unknown to you. So why are you limiting that that of his death? Although rest assured that the person who dies is invariably reborn. Krishna, yes, he says yes, there'll be a reborn, but doesn't that amount to killing and sin? Because if it is killing is sin, then here I am trying to wanting to kill my own people. Isn't that a greater sin? Then of course Krishna tells him that yes, that is the fellow. Remember that killing and unkilling only applies when you do not, when you are ignorant of who you are. Right now, you're assuming that body, you have got a body. This body is all that there is, but it's not that. It's a lot more than that. Every time now here we experience everything throughout senses. Our whole world, in fact, the greater is only a creation of our mind, and that's what Krishna wants to tell him that the all these impressions which are registered there, they are an impression of the mind, and the killing and that is why this killing and non-killing arrives there. Now, and this killing, this impression, they arise from our desires. The desires, they are enacted out and they form a karma. That karma keeps on generating and that karma keeps on registering not only in our mind, but in the entire universe, it is registered. And so we are in fact creating a little bit of our own environment. The environment impacts us, and when the environment impacts us, so we are constantly uh, interacting with our environment. We our environment we see in the form of the universe, and the universe experiences us in the form of our acts. So that's how we experience each other. Now there are a number of people like us. I'm there, you are there, all the people. All these numerous people, they have their own karma, and all these people. Then the combined effect of this karma is the universe, the environment that we are living in. So that's how we feel the environment, and that's how we keep on interacting with each other. Then Arjun, he has a little doubt. He says, Krishna, why does man commit evil? Then Krishna tells him that, look, man commits evil because of his tendencies. All of us are born with what is called three gunas, the rajas, sattvic, rajas, and tamas. These three gunas are there, and these three gunas are the ones which dictate how we act or perform in a particular situation. Because this, some of us may, uh, then of course Krishna tells him that look, you have to keep on acting and you will act in any way, whether you like it or you don't like it. Even if you don't like it, you will commit some act. Now that act, which may be, it may be selfless act, which for the good of every being, or it may be a selfish act for yourself, or you may not act at all, but act you have to. So you better get up and fight. You don't get involved into this uh, uh, mm, non-fighting mode. Because karma, to you have to keep on doing this karma. It is this selfishness with, which is selfishness born out of desire that is responsible for the evil deeds that we carry out. When we have desires, then we start coveting something. We want something. We want something, so we act and we commit a karma. That karma is what binds us. But of course, he says karma by itself may not necessarily be this thing. If you do a selfless act, then that karma does not will impact you. So what is karma? We have to understand. Karma, like I said, that it is not just an action. Action which creates a reaction, that really is karma, which means that there may be certain actions which do not create a reaction. If it does not create reaction, then it does not form any karma, and it will have no impact. Now, even whether we do good deed or bad deed, both these things have a certain repercussion. There is a certain reaction. So if you do good karma, you'll be rewarded by some in a better. Uh, you will be rewarded somehow. You'll be reborn in a better place or in better circumstances. If you do evil deed, you'll be reborn in unpleasant surroundings, unpleasant circumstances, unpleasant family, etc. Or you may be reborn with some physical handicap or things of this kind. So this karma जो है, ये again it depends upon our deed, and because of our guna, because we keep on interacting each other. So if we in this life we have done bad deed, again we'll come back with as a uh, personified form of that bad karma, and we keep on repeating that. So does it mean that we can't break over or get over this? Yes, we can still get over this. That is what that free will is there. We have a little bit of free will, and if we exercise that judiciously, we will be able to overcome the ordained karma, which uh, uh, we have inherited from our past life. Usko we can overcome them and then get rid of this. But that has to be uh, performed very what's through an action which Krishna calls non-action. I had explained what non-action is earlier. I'll repeat that. Non-action is one in which you do not take any doership yourself. You do not claim to be the owner of that action, and you are only an instrument doing God's work. Secondly, is that the act has is not arisen out of your desire. The act is for desire, selfish desire to help somebody else or the other. Third is you're not concerned about the result of what will happen, which means whatever may happen is okay for, as far as you are concerned, and you are not anxious about the result. And fourth thing is that you put in all your effort to doing that because it's not that you are doing it for yourself. So you're putting in 100% of your effort. Now, when you do this kind of action, action resulting from this in this four characteristic, and that is the one which is non-action, and this non-action is in fact the one that will destroy some of those past karmas which have not yet fructified. So that is what he wants to explain to him. Now then he tells him, Arjun, a selfish man, a normal man, if he wants something, he'll keep on taking it without considering anything for others. I want, so immediately he'll grab it and take it. Suppose he wants firewood, he'll cut the tree and take the firewood. He's not concerned about anybody else. And if he'll keep on cutting every day, he wants firewood. Every day he keep on chopping one tree and taking it, till eventually he'll destroy the whole pot. A sage, on the other hand, he does the opposite. He's all the time thinking about the welfare of the people. And when he comes across wood has to be chopped, then he keeps on thinking, okay, if I have to chop down one tree, how can I plant 10 more trees? And all the time his thought is, how can we improve the lot of mankind? So that is different between sage and this. And that is also, he explained to him why a person keeps on doing evil over and over again, knowing fully well that it is evil, because he's driven by his gunas which is there. I told you sattva, rajas, and tamas. These three kinds of gunas are there, which drive him into action. And because of these gunas which is there within him, he keeps on committing various acts. Then Krishna tells him, uh, Arjun, look at me. In all the three worlds, I have not one item, I don't have to do any work at all. The simple being that I am the Lord Almighty, So everything is my creation. But nevertheless, if you see, all the time I'm engaged in work and I'm engaged in selfless work. Nothing is for myself. Now, why do I do that? I do that because people should know that even that they have to work, and when they see me doing it, they are encouraged into doing it themselves. So, and on the other hand, if I stop even for a moment, there'll be complete chaos in the whole universe. Secondly, people will say that, okay, if the Lord can take a break or not do a good deed or not work at all, then why should I work? So I will be setting a bad example. That is why I continue to my job, my duty, even though there's nothing in the three worlds that I desire or that I cannot get or that I'm bound by or obliged to do. So he gives his own example and tells Arjun that you should follow the same thing. Yeah. Then, Krishna continues. He says, keep performing your dharma, for that is yoga. Then, of course, then Arjuna asked him, what is yoga, Krishna? Then, these are three things which I've said, the fourth thing which I've mentioned just now. That is what constitutes yoga. Yoga is really, Patanjali's yoga, which is there, is a list of what you should be doing, what should not be doing. It's a list of do's and don'ts. So those do's and don'ts are really part of yoga. But yoga is really connecting yourself to God. Now, mostly these days, yoga is interpreted to mean that it is some set of physical exercises, or at best some mental exercises. But primarily it is physical exercises in the West. So in the East, they add some mental exercises also. But still, it is in terms of exercise. Yoga is not really in terms of exercise. Yoga is intended to be a non-action, so that all your karmas, not only your bad karmas, but even your good karmas are eliminated. Because remember, even with good karma, you're not free. You're still bound. Although you'll take rebirth in very benign circumstances, in affluent places, or places where there is saints, etc. There is the company of saints, so that you can eventually get liberation. But karma, even good karma, has to be destroyed. Not just your bad karma, but even a good karma has to be destroyed, and that you can destroy by yoga, by committing acts, carrying out acts which we had mentioned just now. Then this Arjun, Arjun tells him, Krishna, I am still not convinced. What are we trying to gain this by this war? My hand just do not go towards my Gandhi, and I'm not sure what are we gaining by this war. Then he says, look, Arjun, don't worry about loss and gain. Loss and gain is only of the material, of material things. Now, the material things, in any case, uh, will, along with your death, you will lose all the material things. You can't take anything material with you after death. That you know very well. Everybody who's born, who's collected a lot of money, who may have collected a lot of fame, who may have collected a lot of name, all that is left behind. You go without any of these things. These are all material things. They are of no value really. They are of temporary value, and they are all human assigned value. Human beings consider them good. Otherwise, they are of no use. What is the point if you have got a lot of wealth? To some extent, yes, a little comfort can be bought, but beyond that, you can't get happiness from money. Similarly, you've got fame. That fame gives you, boosts your ego, but it does not go along with you, and it remains here only. That fame, in fact, will be detrimental to you because it will boost your ego. So, like that, he keeps on explaining him and tells him that you have to keep on performing yoga. You have to perform selfless act all the time without taking on the doership or without expecting any result as per your desire. And you keep on doing this, then you will succeed, and then you will become a yogi. So it tells them you become a yogi. That is what I prefer. Then, of course, after that, he says, But still he is not convinced. So he says, Arjun, I have given this knowledge in the past to the son, and from whom it was passed on to Manu, and from whom to Ishwaku, and that like that, from father to son, it has trickled down from one stage to another stage till in the modern times, it had in the ancient times, it was spread and known to all. But in modern times, unfortunately, this knowledge has been lost. So I'm repeating this to you, and you follow that. Then Arjun tells him, "How can I accept Krishna that you gave this knowledge to son, because you are only a few years older than I am. So and we were only born now. On the other hand, uh, sun has been existing from time immemorial. How can I accept that you gave knowledge first? You gave this precious knowledge first to the sun." He said, Arjun, just excuse me, please. So he said, Arjun, uh, it is not that you are born, this is your first birth or this is your last birth. You've been born earlier numerous times, both you and I. And not only, and we have been so-called dead also innumerable times. But remember, that which is born will die, and that which dies will be reborn again. And that we have been reborn over and over again, over and over again. And while you don't remember any of your past births, I remember them all. And the same thing happens with all those who are standing uh, in this battlefield on either side. They have all been born again. It's not that they'll, after death, they'll cease to be. It's not that they'll cease to exist. They'll keep on existing and they'll keep on acquiring another body. But our job is to get rid of this, eventually uh, get what we call moksha. So it says, what is moksha? Moksha is liberating yourself from all your desires. Once you've removed all your desires, then yes, that is eventually moksha. Because as long as there's the least bit of desire, that least bit of desire will get you to act. It will, first of all, make you envious, make you, jealous. And it is, if you are not able to get it, it will it will cause anger into you. So this jealousy and anger and envy, these are all the kinds of traits that result in your committing karma. Karma which mostly will be, not good karma. And when this karma is there, you will be reborn in unpleasant surroundings. On the other hand, if you are able to get over your desire, and when you start appreciating that whatever you enjoy through your senses, which means your pleasures, your sensual pleasures, or which may be wine, woman, wealth, any of these things, drinks, or any of your addiction, or lust for power, lust for fame. And for fame itself, so many people. In fact, there was some time people have stolen what they call articles or by professors. There was one, I can't vouch to say how true it is, but yes, it is certainly true that against Dr. Radhakrishnan, who was our president also, when he was a professor, it is said that one of his bright students had given a thesis on ancient India, and that he took that thesis that incorporated in his book, and of course, a case was launched against him. So even at that level, all kinds of things can happen. So these happen because of desires, and that desires is what we have to overcome. So getting rid of your desires actually is what is moksha. In fact, since desires form in your mind, technically it is getting rid of all your mind. Now, of course, what is the meaning of getting rid of your mind? Mind is nothing but a bundle of thoughts, one thought after another, one thought after another. And if you are able to get rid of all these thoughts one by one, and not allow them to dictate to you, but rather you decide what thoughts must come and what thoughts have to be acted upon, then you will be able to take charge of yourself, and then you will be able to work only in such a manner that you don't generate karma. When you're desires are not there when you are acting as a instrument of God, then whether you succeed or you fail, then you are not moved. Then if you are successful, then you're not thrilled or happy. You're just okay. It is so destined. So it has, and I've succeeded. And the next time, if you have failed, then too you know you're not upset. You will remain what they call, uh, still you remain steady, both in success and failure, and you're not moved. When you're not, when you remain in this state, it is in this state that you can get moksha. That is, you're neither happy nor unhappy. This is the liberation from birth, rebirth, and from rebirth. And that is liberation from rebirth is what is really more. So that is what he said you must be striving for. Then uh, Krishna further continues. He continues and tells him that, okay, if you can't carry out yoga, because yoga, like I said, involves certain do's and don'ts, and there are a number of them. They are listed there. What are the do's and what are the don'ts? So he said, you perform yajna. What is yajna? Yajna is sacrifice. Then Krishna tells Arjuna that look, at the beginning of the at the beginning of time, when the Lord created the earth, he along with that and created man. Along with that, he created yajna, and he told man that you carry out yajna, and you will be then in that case, if you carry out yajna, then that is sacrifice. With this, you will be benefiting both the God and yourself, and together each of you will benefit each other, and you liberate yourself. Now, what is yajna? Yajna is sacrifice. So you have a big, I mean, इसका जो physical meaning है, in that you have that big havan with the priest sitting there, and you pour ahutis, etc. Now that ahutis are really all your bad traits which are there within you. Because remember, the entire Mahabharata is happening within us. So when we have sacrifice, what are we sacrificing? Sacrificing all our desires, all kinds of nasty desires, sometimes even good desires, because even good desires, they are going to form karma. So it says when you sacrifice all your desires, then you are performing yajna. And when you are all your selfishness, you are destroying in that yajna. You are offering your selfishness, all your bad traits, all the things that can form karma. So, and when you are doing this, you also give opportunity to the other human beings who have risen above the normal level, but they've still not attained godhood. Those people who are in various level, they will come down and help you, and they get an opportunity through your yajna, through the sacrifice that you are performing. In that, these saints, etc., also not, I won't call them saints as yet, but super beings or a very advanced souls who are still not become, who are not attained liberation, but they are still held at some various level. So those people, those kind of souls, they come down and they assist you in your yajna. So if you if you perform this sacrifice, then you'll be able to liberate yourself. Okay, I think I'll stop here now. It's 8:25, 8:15.